All right, guys, how's it going out there? Rooster in Tennessee, roostercb.com. We're going to do another pre-shipment test for a customer here. 16 pill 2879C. Yes, this is a used amp, but again, it was a one owner amp. A friend of mine sold it. He's upgrading into a 24. So we just going to check this one out, make sure it's good to go before it ships out. Now, keep in mind, our test supply that we've already showed earlier, our big 800 amp supply, it does only run 15 volts on idle. I've already kind of pre-checked. When I key this guy down, it drops down to 14.8, 14.9. So keep that in mind. You know, the 2879Cs, most people are running the standard HGs at 15 now, and they're running these 2879Cs at anywhere from 16 to 17 volts, which can make a world of difference on the output. So the drive we're going to be hitting it with is pretty appropriate. This is a one drive an 8 454. Actually, my personal box I plan on using myself and one of my mobiles, but we're going to use it to drive into it. I believe I already checked it, and I think it's doing about 850 to 900 PEP, which that's not too bad for what we're wanting to hit into this. That's really, you know, appropriate drive for this 16C. But we are undervolting it. So again, you think a volt and a half, 2 volts, how much difference could it make? It makes a big difference on the watt meter. Now, as far as what it's going to sound like over the air, it's probably not going to make that noticeable a difference, but it will pick up a lot of watts once you start applying the proper volts to it. Again, standard 2879s, most people are running 15 volts on them, and the C's, they're actually running anywhere between 16 and 17 volts now. So that being said, we will test this guy out. Again, just making sure we see some decent output out of it before it ships out. We're going to use our little Uniden 68 LTX going into the one drive an 8 454. Going into the 16, again, we got an 800 amp power supply, 15 volts on idle, 14.8 to 14.9 on key down. Okay, 5,000 watt slug. We can zoom in here. This stuff's kind of in my way, so I'm just going to zoom in for the test. And we're going to look at average power first. That's the middle scale that we're looking at, guys. And yes, I can hear a little bit of a feedback. It's just probably lack of ground that we've got going. I probably don't have big enough of ground coming off the 16. Definitely enough hot, but the ground I've got on the lugs probably not quite big enough. Hello, audio, audio, hello. And about 16 to 1700 average. Let's check our PEP. Middle scale. Hello, audio, audio. About 3,500 PEP. So not too bad. Again, more volts. You'll see some more. I think the drive we've got going is appropriate. Wouldn't be scared at all to run this into it, but we don't have enough volts hitting it. All right, let's see how much we're drawing on the clamp meter over here. Okie doke. Hello, audio. What, 270, 280, 260, somewhere like that. And that is running both amps off of it. So once you get the voltage of this thing and it starts cranking, you know, what you're probably going to end up seeing out of it, with the same amount of drive, you know, at 15.5, 16 volts anyway, I'd probably bank on seeing around that 4 kW PEP mark, maybe 4,200, 4,300, and see that current draw come up over 300 amps. Now, you start putting the max voltage to this thing, you know, get up there 16.5, 17, you're going to start seeing between 4,500 PEP and 5 kW PEP, and probably around 2,200 or so average. Again, it all depends on the tune on the box too. You know, the way this one is showing, it's showing almost exactly half the amount of average power as it is PEP. You know, we're showing 16 to 1,700 average, and it's showing what was it showing? About 34, 3,500 PEP. So this one's showing almost exactly half. It's not always like that. So, you know, if it was tuned a little bit different, it might show like slightly less average power, but more PEP. again, there's a lot of factors that go into that, the radio you're using, um, and so on and so forth. But clean bill of health, in my opinion. I think it's running good. It does take some drive to make it get up and go. It is going to take some volts to make it to see those magical numbers out of it. That's the thing, is if you're not running over 15 volts. I try to explain this to people. There's really not a need to get the 2879C, because they're actually going to perform worse at 15 volts than the HG 2879 does. If you watch the other video on the 16 pill standard, you'll see the kind of power it's doing with the lower wattage. It's doing really good numbers for a standard 2879. I think it was doing 1200 average and 3 kW PEP. Now, it wasn't doing the average power that this guy is, but it was doing around the same amount of PEP. I think it was only drawing about 200 amps too. So obviously, you're getting more raw power out of the 16C, but we're also putting a lot more drive into it. But my point being is, if you're just going to run 15 volts, which is what most people run their mobiles, I would just get the standard 2879. I don't really see a point in getting the C's. I don't make any more money selling either one of them, so it really doesn't matter to me. But that's just my personal input on it. Is if you're starting to run these mobiles that has, obviously 16 volts, 16 and a half, 17 volts, competition type stuff, obviously the 2879C rather is the way to go. But if you're just running a regular mobile, you're not out there trying to, you're not really in competition. You're just wanting to talk and keep the stock voltage and stuff. The 2879 standard is the way to go. All right, guys, that's my 2 cents on it. Hope the customer likes this one. Saved him a little bit of money buying a used one there, but I hope he likes it. Hope it performs up to his standard. Again, just checking it out before we ship it out. Fatboy 16 pill 2879C, used but not abused, in a working condition. Thanks, everybody. Rooster and 10. See you. Bye.